This is a podcast or something like that. Welcome to the Verbal Journal podcast today. It's episode 69, a porcupine, as we used to say, which I do not recommend doing, saying it or doing it. Welcome to the 69th episode, the sexy episode. This is where we'll be talking sex the entire episode. No? Hold on. Producer Donna's still not back from their break. They're traveling, finding themselves. So I got to communicate with sort of the rest of the crew here. Do we not have a sexy episode prepared? Okay. That's unfortunate. My crew says that they didn't want to do that. It would make them uncomfortable to talk about sex in a professional environment. So, I guess we'll just do a normal episode where we're not talking about sex. Since apparently everyone here is a prude. 69 is a sex position. Being the connection here for anyone in the future who's listening to this, like 100 years or 200 years from now, and they're like, I don't get that. There's a sex position called 69, basically. I did the basically thing again. Okay. Hello. It's going to be a shorter episode today. Not just because short people have an easier time 69ing, but because I am doing a live stream later on YouTube, if everything goes according to plan, celebrating 50,000 subscribers. I am really confused about how it's going to go, actually. I'm sure I'm going to mention this at the start of the live stream, but I've never had such little response to posting a live stream. Like 2 days in advance or whatever, which like I think literally no one. I actually was at the level where I'm like, did I post this correctly? Because it didn't seem like anyone was seeing it. Which usually, I think there's some complications when you post something 2 days in advance. Like it shows up in people's subscriber feeds, but I'm not 100% sure about how it shows up or. But up until like just now that I checked, there's like one like on it, luckily, on the post about it. The live stream itself does not have any likes. It has one like, which was mine. So I'm like, okay, that's kind of weird. Luckily, someone did comment in the chat. You know, you can comment in a chat before the live stream. So like there was, okay, this is in the world, but I was still like unsure. Anyways, it's a super lame thumbnail. I put 30 minutes or something into it, but I just didn't feel like putting a thumbnail together of like a thumbnail of thumbnails. Like I didn't feel like doing what I've done for the 20K and the 40K subscriber streams where I like get images from my previous thumbnails and use them. That would be a good thing to do, but just since I haven't made a video, whatever, I'm going to talk about this on the live stream. Anyways, it'll be fun, and so I'm going to do a shorter thing today. I mean, it's probably going to be like a 3-hour live stream, so going to do a shorter Verbal Journal pod. Speaking of which, 2 episodes ago, episode 67, the video episode, the audio-visual episode, was very long, and I was meaning to reflect on that. Was the video episode from 2 weeks ago the longest episode in Verbal Journal podcast history? My notes here say... Okay, it says no, because 2 episodes ago was 1 hour, 22 minutes, and 40. What is this, Reginald? I can't read your handwriting. Is this 49? Can we get this typed? Reginald the Data Guy, obviously. Yeah, can we get this typed in the future? Is it 47? It doesn't matter? Okay. 1 hour, 22 minutes, and 40-something seconds, episode 67. It was the longest historically, other than episode 17, Podtravaganza episode, which was from May 21st of last year, and that was 1 hour and 41 minutes and 52 seconds. So that was almost 20 minutes longer. Still, you know, I'm not trying to compete with the Podtravaganza. So But thank you, Data. Wow, Data. I call him Data. Thank you, Reginald. Data the Reginald guy, am I right? I know you're doing this to try to get back on my good side, and I do appreciate that. I know I was a little harsh last week, skipping your segment. I feel like, yeah, we've been on really rocky turf, but I do appreciate you trying to get back on my good side with that Data. That's fascinating, frankly. That's fascinating. The video element of the podcast and the public element definitely made me want to provide, and really provide for my people. So that's why I did that, basically. Oh, I did the basically thing again. This is going to, I'm going to get, this is going to be plagiarism at a certain point. Okay. So, next up we got an update from the world of basketball. Kyrie Irving, we talked about a lot on the previous episode. We went through in detail his terrible, false, and BS approach to taking accountability for spreading anti-Semitic propaganda, the same type of which has contributed to genocidal actions throughout history. So thank you, Kyrie. I think I did a good job of pointing out how he never apologized by reading an article that detailed every single event in that timeline. Unfortunately, that doesn't matter because he's so good at basketball that just is more important, So, so I'm really happy for him that his team won. Oh, they didn't win? This is a bit. I'm doing a bit right now. I was told to do a bit. Oh, they didn't win? Oh, no. You know what I mean? That sort of bit. So Kyrie Irving, I was saying how he shot really poorly in the first two games. In their last game where they really needed it. So Mavericks lose 106-88 in game 5. They lose the series 4-1. Their whole season is over. They were lucky to make it into the finals with a much worse record than the Celtics, and they proved that they are worse. Kyrie Irving in the last game shooting 5 for 16. 5 for 16 from the floor. That's less than a third accurate. Compare that to Luka Doncic, 12 for 25, about 50-50. It's fantastic. If you look on the Celtics, you got, Jaylen Brown, 7 for 23, not a good game. And then you got Jason Tatum, 11 for 24, great game. So, that's the difference between a bad game and a good game. Kyrie Irving, a bad game, 5 for 16. So, they really could have used some of those baskets, in this game if they wanted to be competitive. Maybe in the first or second quarter when Dallas was down 10 points each quarter for a plus 21 point deficit at the half. That's right. This is a recap of a game from about a week ago. So maybe blame the Jews. I don't know. Or maybe, if you feel bad about missing so many shots, Kyrie, maybe you should apologize on Instagram and then delete your apology. That would maybe be a good idea. Okay, so let's keep this moving. Donna is not back from their break. I already said that. I feel like that doesn't have to be so much of the script. Grinds my gears segment. I don't have anything that grinds my gears. I'm feeling very non-irritated. Word of the day, we don't have one. Desk section. Earth Desk. Okay, Earth Desk is the most jam-packed desk today. We got a lot of updates on the Earth. Let's check out the first one. Just Stop Oil protesters spray private jets orange in airfield where Taylor Swift's plane is parked. That's interesting. They're having to be specific because I guess it's not clear if they got her plane or I don't know. Just Stop Oil. So Just Stop Oil is obviously an organization that leads protests to try to bring awareness to the issue of our world being on its way to being uninhabitable. So short of them murdering people or kidnapping people or, stuff like that, I am broadly supportive of their actions. And I think if you're not, you should ask yourself what you're doing to secure a safe world for the future. So they're spraying the private jets orange at around 5 a.m. on June 20th. 2 people entered the airfield where Swift's jet was currently stationed. So they're doing this because of the climate change stuff. It's not that they don't like Taylor Swift's music, just to be clear. This stunt comes less than 24 hours after members of the group covered Stonehenge in orange paint. So we can see that in another article. Stonehenge is sprayed with orange powder in climate protest. And I saw, as always with these Just Stop Oil protesters, you see left-wing people who are passionate about stopping climate change saying, no, not that though. Don't do, especially Stonehenge. Don't do Stonehenge though. That's a sacred site. Look, I'm sorry. I'm sure some people who listen to this, if they're, theoretically, if there were people who listen to this, would disagree with me. I don't fucking give a shit. Yeah, Stonehenge is amazing. It's very, very cool. I literally don't care. I'm sorry. I don't feel like anyone has the right to tell Just Stop Oil how to protest unless they're doing something more effective. It's like, obviously, if you do something like Stonehenge, you take into account people are going to get really upset and people are going to have the conversations that I'm, having right now. It's ridiculous. I hope they're stained orange. I hope they're uncleanable orange. I hope every single tourist who goes there has to think about it for the rest of the time. Because if we can't do anything about this climate change, then we don't deserve nice rocks that stand up on their own. And I do think we can do a lot about climate change. It's just a matter of getting the right people in power and getting that power to function how we want it to. Orange powder paint sprayed on Stonehenge is removed. Okay, so it was not permanent. It was removed. People were arrested for spraying Stonehenge in orange powder paint. And then it was removed. The paint was removed. No visible damage to the 5,000-year-old landmark after experts cleaned the site. Yep. So no visible damage. Cool. Good. I mean, that's obviously ideal. And I knew they would do that because that's what they do with the paintings and stuff. I'm just saying in theory. No visible damage. They're not trying to actually piss off good people. They're trying to make good people talk with people who don't, I'm not talking about good people and bad people, but, they're trying to make people talk about this. Good people being people who, understand the urgency of acting on climate change. But obviously I don't mean good and bad people. It's just a short turn of phrase. Stonehenge not visibly damaged by protest paint. It's clean and ready to rock the solstice. Okay. So slightly more upbeat article about the same thing. And then regarding a point made briefly in a recent episode regarding environmental impacts of the violence against Palestinians, there was supposed to be a link here. Let me find that link because I remember it was a UN article. I saw this on the script. Environmental impact of the war in Gaza, against Gaza. I was trying to find I had the original source, but I somehow forgot to link it here. And now there are just all these articles about it that don't, that it's just not the original UN post. Anyways, I'll just look at this. This is from the Jerusalem Post. Gaza conflict has caused major environmental damage, UN says. The conflict in Gaza has created unprecedented soil, water, and air pollution in the region, destroying sanitation systems and leaving tons of debris from explosive devices. It's swiftly reversed limited progress in improving the region's water desalination and wastewater treatment facilities, restoring the Wadi Gaza coastal wetland, and investments in solar power installations. Explosive weapons have generated some 39 million tons of debris, the report said. Each square meter of the Gaza Strip is now littered with more than 107 kilograms, 236 pounds of debris. Each square meter has 236 pounds of debris. Each square meter of the Gaza Strip, each square meter, and a meter is 3.28 feet. So each 3.2 feet by 3.2 feet area, each square meter has more than 236 pounds of debris. That's more than 5 times the debris generated during the battle at, it says for Mosul, Iraq, but I think it means the battle in Mosul, Iraq, because it was not for the city of Mosul. It was against. It says all of this is deeply harming people's health, food security, and Gaza's resilience, says the UNEP Executive Director Inger Anderson. Wow. Gaza's environment was already suffering from recurring conflicts, rapid urban growth, and high population density before the most recent conflict began, as Israel ramped up its violence in purported response against violence on October 7th. So the environmental costs of war. If you won't, stop bombing people for the sake of themselves, maybe for the sake of the planet. Frankly, no, I shouldn't say that on the podcast. Wait, if someone bombed Stonehenge and no one died, and they used a bomb that was like made by like Zionists or something, maybe that would be a good sort of collab, sort of in terms of protest, but I would never support that, obviously. It goes without saying. Okay, Law Desk. So this is an important desk. Justin Timberlake arrested for driving while intoxicated. I'm sorry, really? This is the Law Desk? What is this? Do we have a Law Desk now? Really? I get it, but there's just so many desks. I get the segments. I think it's funny. People like, but really? Is it not becoming a bit much? Is this not the entertainment desk? Do we have to call it the Law Desk? It's Justin Timberlake, an entertainment figure. Let's call it the entertainment desk. Are we going to delve into the legalities of drunk driving? Timberlake was trying to drive home from a party in the Hamptons when police in Sag Harbor noticed him miss a stop sign and swerve out of his lane. He declined to take a breathalyzer and failed a field sobriety test to stand on one leg and do a walk and turn. He could dance, though, let me tell you. I hope no one got hurt. And, okay, great. And next up, Law Desk. New law requires all Louisiana public school classrooms to display the 10 Commandments. That's interesting. Louisiana has become the first state to require that the 10 Commandments, which you may remember from the Bible days, be displayed in every public school classroom, the latest move from a GOP-dominated legislature pushing a conservative. You have to put the 10 Commandments up in every classroom. That's what that's what this country needs. There's no way that's... Proponents said the measure is not solely religious, but that it has historical significance. In the language of the law, the 10 Commandments are, quote, foundational documents of our state and national government. Oh, my God. You could kind of push that logic back, though. You could be like, what's the foundational stuff for the 10 Commandments? Now we're getting kids turned on to frickin', I don't know, polytheism, and then there's praying to the god of the sun or something. Great. Under the law, state funds will not be used to implement the mandate. The posters would be paid for through donations. I don't feel like that's the problem. The law also authorizes but does not require the display of other items in K-12 public schools, including the Mayflower Compact, which was signed by religious pilgrims aboard the Mayflower and is often referred to as America's first constitution. The Declaration of Independence and the Northwest Ordinance, which established a government in the Northwest Territory and the present-day Midwest and created a pathway for... Okay. Civil rights groups are challenging it because they don't want to have any fun. They don't believe in rules, basically, I think is the problem. And that wasn't a basically in copying. That was an original basically. Great. Even among those who may believe in some version of the Ten Commandments, the particular text that they adhere to can differ by religious denomination or tradition. The government should not be taking sides in this theological debate, some groups said. Wow. Similar bills requiring the Ten Commandments to be displayed in classrooms have been proposed in other states, including Texas, Oklahoma, and Utah. However, with threats of legal battles over the constitutionality of such measures, no state besides Louisiana has succeeded in making the bills law. Congratulations to Louisiana. That's the problem with the world, that we do not have the kids learning the Ten Commandments quick enough. They're coveting their neighbor's property. They're not honoring thy mothers and thy fathers, and it's just a huge cluster. Fuck. Okay, Sports Desk, Joey Chestnut follow-up. We talked about this, and I didn't even say who he was, but I assume you all knew. I said Joey Chestnut was being barred from the national hot dog eating contest, the Nathan's famous 4th of July hot dog eating contest. Chestnut is a 16-time hot dog eating champion, but he was barred for getting endorsement from Impossible Foods, which is, Impossible Foods is plant-based hot dogs. So he was barred as a competitor, which is not a good look for Nathan's. This is such bad press for them. I feel like so insecure. But turns out right after that, Netflix picked it up and said, hey, we're going to host, I don't know the order of events. This might have been planned for quite a while, but Netflix swiftly announced a new announced a new hot dog eating competition. It says new hot dog -eating. So I guess since hot dog are considered like one word, you say hot dog -eating, but it looks like a new hot dog eating competition. Okay, let's kind of blow past that. It'll feature Chestnut and his fiercest rival, Takeru Kobayashi, on a live Netflix special. I didn't know they did live stuff. Maybe they just mean it's filmed live before a live audience. I don't know. Cool. Good for him. Impossible Foods has not confirmed a formal relationship with Chestnut, but said in a statement that the company supports his choice to compete in any competition, adding meat eaters shouldn't have to be exclusive to just one wiener. Okay. I don't know. Is that really the way to do it? Okay, whatever. Anyways, good for you. Good for you, everybody. Fantasy Desk. My fantasy baseball league is going fantastically, and this week is going very well. I had a great day yesterday. I am 56 points ahead. I have 239 to 183. Just an insane day. I have two starters going. They would both have to throw very, very badly, and my opponent would have to have some amazing players come out of the woodwork. So my opponent did this thing that I used to do last year, where they were dropping and adding a bunch of players throughout the week, and especially yesterday and today, they dropped and added pitchers, several pitchers, so they would get people who are starting tomorrow. This is a total mistake, and I talked about this on the podcast when I was reflecting on my season last year. If you're doing that, you're scrambling to get those extra points on the last day. First of all, the odds of him coming back, I think it's a guy, coming back, yeah, it is. I see his name here, actually. The odds of him coming back from you can't know for sure, but I think he's a guy. The odds of him coming back from a 60-point deficit, a 56-point deficit, is very slim. Like, that's huge. Like, yesterday I got 76 points and he got 25. So that was like a 50-point deficit that was created yesterday. So it could be knocked out today, theoretically. it's just hard to imagine that that's a huge gap. Yesterday was by far the biggest gap we've had all week. Usually it's like a 20-point gap, 30-point gap, from one player to the other. So now he has 3 starters that he picked up yesterday, and next week he's stuck with these 3 starters that are just the only benefit they had. The only reason he picked them was they happen to be starting on Sunday, today, the last day of the matchup. So it's just game theory wise, not a great strategy, because you end up with people who you just keep adding new people and losing the better people. And it's why he has no good pitching staff, and his best starter, the only one I know by name, is Luis Castillo, who had a terrible outing this week. And meanwhile, I have freaking Tyler Glasnow, Nestor Cortez, Yusei Kikuchi, Marcus Stroman, Gavin Stone, Chris Bassett. Like, I got the freaking starters. And that's without Joe Musgrove and Yu Darvish, 2 aces on San Diego that are sick, I almost said, injured. So I'm 7-5, hopefully 8-5 after today. Still a little bit of competition because my 2 other competitors in my division are playing each other this week, and the one who's below me is beating the one who's above me. So we're all going to be very close in the division, but can't complain. Biography desk. I am reading the biography I mentioned last week. It's about it's a multiple biographies. I'm reading about Lee Krasner, Elaine DeKooning. Soon it's going to get on to talking about Joan Mitchell, Grace Hardigan, and I always can't remember one of them, but it's a different one each time. Lee Krasner, Elaine DeKooning, Joan Mitchell, Grace Hardigan, Helen Frankenthaler, yeah, who seems really cool too. But it's just been about Lee Krasner and Elaine DeKooning so far because I think they were on the scene earlier. Fascinating abstract expressionist women, and I've learned so much. It's interesting learning about the surrealists from an outsider's perspective, because I've been falling out of love with the surrealists for a while, but yeah, they're just kind of losers, and there's just this like current of like misogyny, and it's just like a weird vibe. They're surrealists. I don't know. Oh my God, it's just a weird vibe. Take themselves too seriously. Reginald the Data Guy desk. So this is an apology for last time. Reginald, I skipped your desk, and that was petulant. That was very petulant. I'm so sorry about that. I will likely never do that again. You did piss me off. So in my defense, you pissed me off, and that was your fault. My therapist told me that was your fault. But I also overreacted, and 2 wrongs do not make a right, apparently. I thought they did, actually, but they don't. Great. Well, so I'm just pulling something up as I do this. Okay, so anyways, Reginald, what do you got for us today? Okay. No, I am sorry about last week. That was a real apology because you didn't want to. I started the episode last week and I said, no, I don't mind. No, I'm not going to fight about it with you. I think it's okay to say. I asked you to go through and find any other Monday episodes. And I get that was kind of an abrupt thing to ask you right at the beginning, and I get that might be a lot of time investment to expect you to literally listen but then again, I would have mentioned it in like the first minute of any episode, right? So realistically, you could have done it in under an hour, under half an hour. But, and I feel like it does fall into your job description, but I was rude. Regardless. So what do you got for us? So you got, okay, it's a baseball, sports data thing. So trying to win me over. Is that right? You're trying to win me over? Reginald knows one of my favorite stats is the run differential. So how many runs a team has gotten more than it's given up, or less than it's given up if it's negative. And what I find so interesting, as I talked about many episodes ago, but it's worth checking in on, so thank you, Reginald. I find it very interesting how obviously the best teams in the major leagues will have high run differentials. For example, New York Yankees and Philadelphia Phillies, the 2 best teams in baseball right now, both actually coincidentally have a 111 run differential. They've scored 111 runs more than they've given up in the first, 80 games or whatever. Baltimore Orioles, a little bit, one or two games worse than those two teams, but still doing amazingly. Has 118, run differential. You just go a few games back. The Brewers have 59 run differentials, so they're only got a slightly worse record, like 5 games worse, 3 games worse actually. Oh no, 5 games worse than the Orioles, but a much worse run differential. So which is the only team actually right now in baseball to have a winning record but a negative run differential? And it's the St. Louis Cardinals, and it's barely a winning record because it's hard to with a negative run differential. They have 38 and 37 with a negative 33 run differential. So they've managed to win more games than they've lost while giving up way more runs than they score. Meaning, obviously, they lose games by a lot and they win games by a little. And are there any teams with a losing record but a positive run differential? Yes, the Houston Astros, 37 and 40 with a plus 14 run differential. So they lose by a little and win by a lot is what that would mean, but not that much. Cincinnati Reds also 36 and 40 with a plus 12 run differential. Wow, fascinating. Worst run differential, the Chicago White Sox, worst record in the league, and worst run differential, negative 155. Wow. Try scoring some runs, actually. Okay, so thanks, Reginald. That was good. Chess desk is still optional, but guess what? It's a desk now. It's formally incorporated into the desk section. I referenced this might happen, and it is happening. So the chess desk is no longer a separate segment that seems like it should be part of the desk section. It's now just part of the desk section. Reginald's saying I pushed his desk too far into the desk section. Reginald, I tried to throw you a bone. You didn't even have much for me. You know what I mean? Like, I just read off the standings. I mean, it's like you got to have something more concrete. Yeah, you had the thing at the start of the show about the longest episode, but that's not part of your desk. So if you want top billing in the desk section, come up with something good, Okay, is Donna coming back next week, by the way? Okay, yeah, they're going to be back next week. Yeah, okay, good. Anyways, chess desk, part of the desk section now formally, but it is still optional, and I don't have anything to say about chess, so I'm just gonna skip. Let's do the patron shout out. Let's shout out the people who support this podcast. First, let's start with YouTube members. If you listen on YouTube, you are probably a member. So thank you for doing that. Active members, current level. Okay, cool. Active members. Here we go. Thank you, Iggy or Igor. Thank you, Eva. Thank you, Andre Ariadne. Thank you, Roy. Thank you, G. Thank you, Simply Snaps. Thank you, Finesse. Thank you, Jaden. Thank you, Trusty. Thank you, Hector. Thank you, Hollow Moon. Thank you, Pit Inhabitant. And thank you, 39% Weird. Wow. Some of these people have been supporting the channel for over a year. Well over a year, actually. Some are close to 2 years. Thanks. And on Patreon, thank you so much to active members. I'm only reading active members now, or don't worry, we're not reading all the... I know, there was a lot of reading of members a few weeks ago. Okay, thank you on Patreon, Matt, Scott, X, Noah, Fat Doggo, Anastasios, TV Ghost, Linguist Sam. Thank you, King Margot. Thank you, Tom. Thank you, Stephanie. Thank you, Kay. Thank you, Miles. Thank you, Hugh. Thank you, Bozo, Donovan, Died Famous, Red Grove, Platinum Sarge, Rabid Dog, 008. Thank you, Jen, Ian, Russ, Irene, MJ, Gaff45er Swit, Ryan, Madeline, John, Dependency Injector, Mr. Moxie, Brent, Molly, Kyle, Ashley, Jack, Isaac, Scott, Luca, Isaiah, Modest Maoist, Gunther, Thulu, Miles, and User. Thank you, y'all. See, that wasn't too bad, right? right, let's check out the mailbag. This is your time to thank me, basically. Let me check out the mailbag. You can write in at verbaljournalpodcast@gmail.com, and no one has written in, so we are done with today's shorter episode, and I will see you on YouTube. You will see me on YouTube for a 50,000 subscriber live stream. If you missed out live, it will be available on YouTube afterwards. Cool. Well, that's it for today. Thanks so much for listening, I guess. And I guess episode 70 is next week. Wow. Cool. All right. Goodbye. This is a podcast or something like